is the Hsiang S19, sequel to the 2020 Hsiang S18 and positioned to be the perfect wheel for those who are looking for crazy top speed but excellent suspension and an overall great casual wheel. And it comes with just about everything you can possibly want: 100 volt, 40 miles per hour performance, a larger battery pack and better range than the original, and supposedly the best speaker in class for any electric unicycle. And this week I'm going to ride the Hsiang S19 and tell you whether or not this is the perfect commuter and lifestyle EUC you have been waiting for. Roll the intro!
Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and help spread the uni gospel.
First, a quick shout out to Jason at eWheel for sending me this demo Hsiang S19 for review purposes. But as usual, opinion expressed is strictly my own. And don't forget to check out themosfet.com for EUC accessories and swags. Now I must admit I have a bit of a problem. I like excessive amount of speed and very fast wheels. But I also have enough sense to know that not everyone needs a fire-breathing 50 miles per hour electric unicycle when all they're looking for is a bit of casual fun and an easy and safe way of getting to work and back home. And for every single hardcore EUC speedsters, there's probably 10 sensible riders who just want a convenient and safe wheel that fit neatly into their daily routine. And I very much think that Hsiang had recognized that opportunity and developed the S19 to be that perfect intermediate Goldilocks wheel.
And that's just right.
And the question is simple: did they succeed? And is the Hsiang S19 the perfect commuter electric unicycle? Which brings us to the review, and as usual, I'm going to rate the wheel based on 5 different criteria on a scale of 1 to 5. And they are design, convenience, ride quality, performance, and finally, value. Starting with design. First of all, I don't think design is just about looking cool. A product, especially one that is as personal as an electric unicycle, should be expressive of its purpose. And similar to its predecessor, the S18, the smooth and flowy profile of the S19 feels much more appropriate for a lightweight, fast and agile vehicle than the boxy and utilitarian design that companies like Veteran and Bigot seems to prefer. The same exposed suspension trellis arm, which was carried over from the S18, continues to be a striking reminder that the suspension of the S19 remain one of the better implementation of any EUCs. The extensive integration of RGB LED lighting is eye-catching, but as someone who tend to prefer to maintain a low profile whenever I ride, aren't really a plus for me, but I do get that the additional visibility accent lighting sometimes provides to motorists and pedestrians can be helpful with safety, and I have certainly noticed that I draw a lot more attention whenever I ride the S19. I think Hsiang did a fine job with the design of the S19 from a purely aesthetic perspective. It is bold, flashy, and distinctly different than any other EUC currently available on the market. But from an engineering and usability perspective, some of the choices that Hsiang made starts to look a bit more questionable, which brings us to convenience. Now, in the past, EUCs were mostly made out of lighter and cheaper plastics, but with the addition of suspension and moving components, EUC company began to introduce more metal parts for durability and stiffness, to the point where the Sherman S is now mostly metal. But the S19 bucks that trend, and once again you have a mostly plastic-clad wheel, and unfortunately in areas where impact from drops mostly occur in this upper portion. Unless you're a skilled and careful rider that never drop your wheel, there's a good chance that wear and tear will start to show very quickly. The other reason why most other EUC companies have moved away from sculpted side panel is that they reduce the option for customization of pads and stands. Now the pads that that comes with the S19 is cushy and very comfortable, but they have zero adjustability. It's either on or off. I ride with bent knees and usually require a more steeply angled front pads, but here I have no choice but to ride with a more upright stance with the S19. Then we have one of the worst trolley handle on any EUCs in recent memory. It's plastic and does not lock either in the up or down position, which means that it's going to flop about when you ride or when you try to walk the wheel using the trolley. It is really puzzling because Hsiang used to be famous for making really great trolley handle on their electric unicycle. The same basic dot matrix display on top inherited from the S22 also feels like a miss, since it has none of the customization functions most other current gen wheels now offer. The adjustable headlight is serviceable and the tail light is more decorative than functional. At least the kickstand is solid and very easy to use. There's also a conveniently placed front grab handle and a touch activated cutoff switch, which make lifting the wheel pretty easy to do, but not so much when you want to grab it to help with stability when you ride. Finally, we have the speaker, which was highlighted by Hsiang as one of the main features of the S19, and surprisingly, they live up to the hype. They're much louder and flashier as compared to my $100 tri-bit Storm box. If you like to ride with music and want lots and lots of attention, then the S19 is perfect for you. The Hsiang S19 is a bit of a mixed bag. There certainly some great features, but surprisingly the more ride-oriented features, like the trolley handle and the ride ergonomic, is poorly thought out or implemented. And in the end, this is an electric unicycle, and if it's not easy to use and comfortable to ride, then no amount of light show music is going to save it. As a result, the S19 gets a 2 out of 5 for convenience. Next, let's talk about ride quality. The combination of 100 volt and 3.5 kilowatt motor means that the S19 has plenty of performance on tap. However, the lack of customization option and the upright stance it forces you into tells a very different story. The acceleration and brake pads are positioned too far apart and your legs and knees sort of floats a bit, and I constantly feel like I'm looking for a control surface to grip, especially when I'm attempting any sort of aggressive maneuvers. And no, you can't move them forward because this comes as a single piece, and also there's this little peg that you have to slot the pad over, so you really have no option to move these anywhere. Now, you certainly can ride an electric unicycle without pads, and there are those who prefer to ride padless, but I don't think even they would enjoy the setup, since the raised front panel and the rear speaker housing would then get in the way of movement from the freeform riders. I cannot emphasize how important it is for an electric unicycle to accommodate a custom fit, since body shapes varies and not all of our legs are the same length. At least for me, riding the S19 feels like I'm trying to run with a pair of shoes that are 2 sizes too large, and the lack of ergonomic support extend to seated riding. The top of this wheel is sloped just enough so as to make it difficult and uncomfortable to do. Every time when I try, I find myself slipping forward until the wheel basically slips out from underneath me. It is an annoying miss because every other modern EUC, including Hsiang's own S22, all support seated riding right out of the box, but for whatever reason, they seem to have completely forgotten about it. Which is unfortunate, since the S19 is a surprisingly capable wheel from a power and speed perspective. It feels light and stable all the way up to its maximum speed of 35 miles per hour, and the suspension is excellent when it comes to soaking up any and all road imperfections and provides a grippy and floaty ride, almost on par with that of the Sherman S. Which brings us back to the question of ride style. None of my complaints apply if all you're looking for is a casual, relaxing, and comfortable ride. And there's nothing wrong with that. And of course, the possibility exists that aftermarket pads will be developed to improve the fit of this wheel, which will then in turn allow you to squeeze just a bit more performance out of it. So taking all that and its excellent suspension into consideration, the Hsiang S19 gets a 3.5 out of 5 for ride quality. Now, Hsiang has never been particularly interested in competing based on performance. Even the S22, their flagship high-speed 126-volt wheel, is slower on the top end, and as a matter of fact, until quite recently, they had always expressed a reluctance to release any electric unicycle capable of speed above 30 miles per hour. Which probably explains the disconnect between what the S19 is capable of versus what it's actually designed for. It is surprisingly torquey and agile and worked much better than I thought it would off-road, and although the higher voltage 16-inch wheels like the Patent and the Commander Mini will out-torque it on steep hill, I encounter very few instances where I wasn't able to climb one. The larger wheel size does offer slightly more stability when the trail opens up a bit, but its excellent suspension is what truly shines here. The stock air shock doesn't offer the same supple feel of a hydraulic shock, but the geometry and result progressive spring rate feels just right. Even the roller slider, which had been a persistent problem for the S22, feels smooth and consistent. On the streets, the S19 has plenty of power on tap and it's fast enough to keep up with normal street traffic flows, but it is not fast enough to comfortably and easily overtake traffic either. If you're looking for a wheel that would let you cruise at 40 miles per hour plus, then the S19 is not for you. But still, it is capable enough to earn it 3.5 out of 5 for performance. That excellent suspension and its awesome off-road capability really adds a gold star. Finally, let's talk about value. The Hsiang S19 is $2,800, which is about on par with the many 16-inch suspension EUC released this year, but with its 18-inch wheel, it does offer a bit more stability at speed if that is what you're looking for. The only other choice is the 2-year-old Emotion V11, which is significantly cheaper, but also much less capable, or the Gmaster, which carries the usual caveat about build quality. But $2,800 also feels a little bit too expensive for a casual beginner wheel. EUC pricing usually correlate directly with performance, bigger motor, larger battery pack, and higher top speed, but that formula sort of falls apart when it comes to the pricing of the S19. If all you're looking for is a comfortable and relaxing ride, then the Emotion V11 is probably more than enough for your needs, and the $800 you save from buying that wheel will be more than enough for you to buy a hell of a Bluetooth speaker system to offset the musical advantage of the S19. And there is of course the many ergonomic and usability problem that also drag the S19 value proposition down. For almost $3,000 you would expect a thoughtful and well-designed premium product, but I don't really think the S19 hit that mark, and it gets a 2 out of 5 for value. And that I think is its greatest weaknesses. The S19 isn't a bad wheel, but in today's competitive EUC market, it simply does not offer equivalent value to its price. So is the S19 a dud, or is it just the casual fun wheel you have been looking for?
well, that is what the comment section below is for. And you know what? Once again, I ramble on too long and somehow managed to waste another 15 minutes of your life, but I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to my supporter on Patreon. Please check out the link in the video description below if you enjoy and like to support my work. And as always, as much as we all love electric unicycle, the only way for us to get better wheel is to grow as a community. So tell your friend, teach them how to ride, and get them hooked. Until the next video, thank you.